Hi everyone, welcome back to the Caistrology channel, and if you're new here, welcome. My name is Cailin, and today we're going to be looking at your October 2025 horoscope. You can watch your horoscope for your ascendant, sun, and moon sign. I do recommend that you watch all three if you've got the time, and this is a tropical Western astrology reading, just by the way. If you're wanting more regular astrological updates from me, then you can follow me on Instagram and or Facebook. It's the same handle, which is simply Caistrology. So a little bit of an update for you. I am going to be traveling for the whole month of October. So that means I'm not going to be available for private one-to-one astrological consultations. And just by the way, I'm a tarot reader as well. So I do offer tarot card readings. I'll be back in November if you're wanting to book in a private reading. So without further ado, let's get into your October horoscope. Hi fellow Taurus Sun, Moon and Risings, welcome to your October 2025 horoscope. As the month begins, Venus, which is your chart ruler, will still be transiting Virgo in your 5th house. So this portends positive things in the way of love, romance, creativity, as well as your relationship with your children, if you do have children. Now, on the 7th of October, Mercury is going to enter the sign of Scorpio. So Mars is already here in Scorpio in your 7th house, and it will be for literally the whole month. But with Mercury here, there's like such a strong focus and pull towards your personal one-to-one relationships. So that can be with a business partner, that can be with your one-to-one clients or anyone that you engage services with, and also, of course, your long-term partner. Okay, because the 7th house rules over long-term relationships as well as marriages, of course. So with this activation to your 7th house, you could be experiencing like a really profound transformation of one or more relationships, but I'm going to get into that a little bit later in the reading. Also on the 7th of October, we're going to have the full moon in Aries taking place at 14 degrees, and this will be in your 12th house. Now, this particular full moon is actually going to be conjunct the fixed star Alpheratz. Am I saying that right? I hope I am. In any case, this particular fixed star is associated with romance, intuition, as well as glory, riches, and fundamentally independence. Okay, so this particular full moon in your 12th house can indicate that you are achieving some kind of victory or independence when it comes to self-sabotaging behaviors. So you may finally be liberating yourself from something that has maybe been plaguing you or haunting you in some sort of way, or perhaps it has just been quite unpleasant. So to me, this full moon has the energy of victory and coming out on top. It's quite an auspicious full moon. And also 14 degrees is the Taurus degree as well. So it's like you're overcoming some kind of habit, and this could be in terms of spending habits, resources, addictions, things that you indulge in. And also the 12th house, or full moons in the 12th house, can fundamentally lead to like a psychological breakthrough or some kind of unlocking in a spiritual sense. So maybe we can say like a spiritual awakening or profound epiphany or realization, which leads you to some form of liberation. On the 13th or the 14th of September, depending where you live in the world, Venus, which is your chart ruler, is going to enter the sign of Libra. So that means Venus will be transiting your 6th house for about 3 weeks. And in the first 24 to 48 hours, Venus is going to oppose Neptune in Aries. It's going to trine Uranus in Gemini, as well as trine Pluto in Aquarius. So to me, this indicates, especially because Venus is your ruling planet, that between about the 13th, 14th, 15th, and maybe even 16th of October, there's going to be some kind of breakthrough, because Venus is being liberated and basically emboldened by these trines to Uranus and to Pluto. It doesn't mean that there's not some sort of internal challenge involved with the opposition to Neptune, but to me, this indicates that you are overcoming habits, right? Because the sixth house is related to bad habits or overcoming some kind of conflict. This can be an internal conflict. This can be something in your life that is out of balance. This can maybe even be the letting go of a relationship that is no longer serving you. In any case, Venus transiting the sixth house can indicate that you're very focused on your work, being of service, focusing on your health, your diet, your nutrition, and you can experience great healing around this particular time. Also, you may be enjoying time with pets. This can indicate to finding romance in the office, and also maybe just enjoying time with your employees if you do have employees, and really thriving in some kind of structured environment, routine, or something that's been like pre-planned or pre-organized. But I think that there will be some kind of like spontaneous occurrence which happens in those in that middle point of the month. Okay, so on the 14th of October, just thought it was worth mentioning that Pluto is going to station direct in Aquarius at 1 degree in your 10th house. So the 10th house for Taurus is basically the top of the chart, representing the midheaven, the career, and your public reputation. So Mercury finally being direct at 1 degree and not returning to that degree henceforth indicates to me that there's some kind of decision that's being made, and it's like, this is the path, this is the way, this is what I'm deciding to do, because there could have been a bit of confusion about what you wanted to pursue in terms of your life path, your goals, and maybe your career. So 1 degree is that Aries energy, and to me this is indicative of finally committing to the path after trying a few different paths, or maybe just performing some thought experiments over the last few months while Pluto was retrograde here. On the 20th of October, Mercury is going to form a conjunction with Mars in Scorpio in your 7th house. Now, Mercury and Mars will continue to form conjunctions. In fact, there will be 5 between this point and March 2026, although they won't all be happening in the sign of Scorpio. Now, Taurus, what I'm so excited to tell you is that pretty much from this point onwards, you will be experiencing a grand trine in the water sign houses. So for you, this means Jupiter in Cancer in your 3rd house, Mars and Mercury in your 7th house, and then of course Saturn in Pisces in your 11th house. And later in the month, we're going to have the Sun entering Scorpio and then Neptune entering Pisces. So these are the social houses in astrology, the business houses in astrology, and ultimately a grand trine in water signs in these houses indicates that something is going right for you when it comes to your social life, co-workers, clients, services that you offer, your wider network, your wider community. There's like this big breakthrough moment that is happening where all of these opportunities just start to open up and flow in for you. And again, this is going to be pretty much for the last 10 days, 11 days of the month. And this will continue on for some time to come, okay? Because it's like an activation to these houses, and I think that you are going to see the flow and effects of this for the next few months, because even after Mercury and the Sun and Mars leave the sign of Scorpio, we're still going to have Jupiter and Cancer in your 3rd house and Saturn and Neptune in your 11th house. So there could be some special opportunities that come through for you in the way of business, in the way of collaboration opportunities, in the way of expanding your friendship group, your wider network, as well as your local community too, with that Jupiter in the 3rd house influence. And of course, it would be remiss of me not to say that this can indicate that something really special is happening in your love life, in your romantic life, because you are having this strong focus on the 7th house, which is all about entering into committed relationships and partnerships. So of course that goes beyond collaborations and friends and business and into the realm of a solid, committed, romantic partner. Okay, so there could be talk of being exclusive, of taking your relationship to the next level, of getting engaged, of getting married. Moving along though, on the 21st of October, there will be a new moon in Libra at 28 degrees, and this will be in your 6th house. The 6th house is related to acts of service, work, pets, as well as employees. And also, of course, if I didn't say so already, what goes along with health would be diet, nutrition, and so on and so forth. So the new moon in your 6th house could indicate that there's a new chapter that is starting in relation to one or more of those things. For some of you, it's getting a new pet. For others of you, it is starting a new job. And for some Taurians, maybe it is bringing an employee on board, or basically taking a new approach in terms of health, diet, nutrition, maybe implementing new routines or new systems in place. And ultimately, this can indicate that there's some kind of new foundation that is starting, that is going to better support you in terms of your habits, processes, your health, and your work in general. But I do think it's going to push you outside of your comfort zone. Why do I say that? This new moon is squaring Jupiter in Cancer at 24 degrees in your 3rd house, and it is opposing Chiron in Aries at 24 degrees in your 12th house. So it is making this T-square actually, and the square to Jupiter. I mean, Jupiter's a benefic planet, don't get me wrong, but that square element is like, oof, I feel pushed outside of my comfort zone. I'm going to have to put so much energy and effort into this. Maybe there's like this upskilling that needs to take place with Jupiter in the 3rd house, where it's like, I need to go over coursework. I need to educate myself on this. I need to quickly expand my skill set in order to take on this new chapter that is starting somewhere in my life. Okay, and there is an element of sacrifice and surrender because of that 24 degrees, which is the Pisces degree. So it's maybe like, I'm having to put so much energy and time into this in a really 3rd house way, which is like to make it part of your daily practice, to make something part of your like rhythm and routine in terms of what you're listening to, what you're reading, what you're practicing. And this could have a spiritual element to it as well, with the opposition to Chiron in your 12th house. So I repeat, the new moon's on the 21st. It's in your 6th house. This could relate to health, work, pets. Okay, so on the 22nd of September, Neptune is going to re-enter the sign of Pisces. So it's going to be transiting your 11th house for the next 3 months, and then we're done. And then we're done for this lifetime. Basically, Neptune is closing out its 14-year-long transit in the sign of Pisces through your 11th house, plus it's closing out a 165-year cycle. Okay, so that's how long it takes for Neptune to go through all 12 zodiac signs. Neptune will be at 29 degrees for this 3-month period. 29 degrees is the critical anaretic degree in astrology. So there's some kind of, I hesitate to use the word crisis, but I will, that's coming through with respect to your long-term goals and dreams for your future, your wider network, your community. Okay, this is fundamentally make or break time when it comes to communities that you're part of, networks that you're part of, and friendships that you have. Now, this doesn't mean like your besties, but this is like, who do I associate with? Who do I want to be with? And I would say that the highest expression or manifestation of this transit of Neptune at 29 degrees could be finding your spiritual community, finding people who fit that ideal archetype in terms of who you want to associate with, who you want to spend time with. And, you know, even though I said it's like the critical degree and there could be a crisis here, Saturn is here too, and both Neptune and Saturn are going to be trining Jupiter in Cancer for like the run of the transit through Neptune in Pisces. So there's definitely expansion, growth, good luck, fortune, and abundance that is coming through. But there may just have to be like a surrendering to divine timing, which sounds a little bit trite, but we could say maybe a surrendering to uncertainty, not knowing what the next few months holds, basically throwing your intentions out there into the world and just being like, please, please, universe, like let this long-term goal come off, let this dream come true. And I really do think that these next few months between now and January or even February, you will be achieving some kind of long-term goal or dream. I really do think that. And, you know, I don't say that lightly. I'm a Taurus too, remember? I want all of this to be true for me as well. So lastly, guys, on the 23rd of October, Scorpio season is going to start. So literally between the 23rd of October and the 28th of October, we will have Mercury, Sun, and Mars all in Scorpio. At the same time, we'll have Neptune and Saturn in your 11th house in Pisces, and Jupiter and Cancer. Jupiter in Cancer in your 3rd house. That's literally 6 planets in water, and that's positive for you as an earth sign because it is basically sextiling you, apart from the opposition to Scorpio. So really, really important things are going to take place in terms of personal relationships, friendships, collaboration, opportunities, sales, clients, contracts, etc. between that 23rd and 28th, 29th degree point. Lastly, on the 29th of October, Mercury is going to enter the sign of Sagittarius, which means it will be transiting your 8th house. So basically, we are going to be entering into that pre-shadow period. We've got a Mercury retrograde occurring next month in November from Mercury being in Sagittarius at 6 degrees back to Scorpio 20 degrees. So take note, what's happening for you in October? What's being discussed? What are you agreeing to? And there's going to be some kind of refinement that takes place in November. Or we could say if there are contracts being signed in October, maybe these are verbal propositions or even written proposals or propositions, then you'll be able to iron out those details in the month of November. In any case, Taurus, I hope you've enjoyed this horoscope. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more information. Plus, I'm also on Instagram and Facebook if you're wanting to see more regular astrological updates from me in between now and these monthly horoscopes. Enjoy a month ahead, and I'll see you guys next time.